Welcome to the Unit 3 test review. Please go to Illuminate to reveal your test answers for the Unit 3 test. The first question was that you were asked to identify the location of the answer to the system of equations. That is the location where the two lines intersect, and we describe the location of a point using an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate from the origin. The origin is at 0, 0, so you would go describing this location as 1 to the left and 2 up. So the answer to this question was -1, 2. There was a second part to the answer, and you just had to describe why -1, 2 was an answer. -1, 2 is the solution because the lines intersect at that point. As you do your test corrections, feel free to pause the video and do your corrections. You need to do your corrections on the test correction sheet where you are identifying the answer that you made to the test through Illuminate. Then you go ahead and you write the correct solution and analyze what you did wrong on the paper. And you can get half credit back for every point. The second question, graph the system of equations on the coordinate plane. You have a first line as y equals 1x. We need to put a 1 as the coefficient, plus 1. We know that y equals mx plus b is slope-intercept, where b is the y-intercept and m is the slope. So on the first one, we have the slope is 1, which is the same as 1 over 1. So it's going to rise 1 and run 1. The y-intercept for this problem is at 0, 1. So the first line is going to be at 0, 1, and then it rises 1 and runs 1. Put a dot, rise 1, run 1, rise 1, run 1. On your test, you were just supposed to put 2 dots, I believe. There's your first line. The second line is here. -3 is the slope. So that's equal to -3 over 1. So you're going to go down, rise, you're going to go down 3, and then you're going to run +1. And then you start at the y-intercept 0, -3. So go to 0, -3 on the graph, see the purple, and it says you go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and right 1. Down 3, right 1. You can also go up 3 and left 1, and when you do that, you will see the exact perfect solution. The answer to this problem is these meet at -1, 0. Again, make your corrections on your test correction paper. Question 3 is very similar. You're still looking at y equals mx plus b, where the m is the slope of the line, b is the y-intercept. So in the first problem, the slope here equals 1, which is 1 over 1, and the y-intercept is at 0, 1. You'll be able to see this paper better. These problems are posted on Google Classroom. The second equation, the slope is 1 over 3, and the y-intercept is 0, -3. So let's graph the first problem. 0, 1, rise 1, run 1. Same as the last problem, rise 1, run 1. We have enough to draw a line. And let's change colors here to blue for the second line. It says go to 0, -3. And then it has a rise 1, run 3, rise 1, run 3. You can also go down 1 and left 3. Down 1, left 3. You can see that these lines intersect at this point right here, which is the point, I believe, -6, -4. They didn't ask you to identify the intersecting location, just to graph the two lines. If you wanted to check that answer, you could plug in for the x coordinate and the y coordinate into each equation and see if you graphed it correctly. Problem 4. A local theater sold tickets to their next performance. Tickets for adults were sold for $18 each, and tickets for children were $10 each. Okay, well, then we know that it's $18 for an adult ticket, plus it's $10 for a child's ticket. It tells you that they sold 695 tickets. Well, that doesn't have anything to do with the cost. That's just the adult and the children's tickets are totaling 695 tickets. When you start looking at how much each ticket costs, the $18 plus the $10, see, that tells you how much money that they are making, $8,926. So this was your first part of the equation, and here's your second part of the equation, your second equation for a system of equations, and then you can solve. You'd be able to solve this with elimination or with substitution. You'd have to solve for either A or C. They don't ask you to solve it. They ask you to identify the two equations in your problem that match. Problem 6. Brad gets an allowance of $16 each week, and his younger sister, Samantha, gets an allowance of $9 each week. So this is important. He gets 16, she gets 9, but it goes on to say that Brad only saves a half of his money, which is $8, and Samantha saves 2/3 of hers, which is only going to be $6. And Brad starts with 0, but Sam starts with 40. How many weeks will it take until they have the same amount of savings? Some people tried method 1, where they started with a table and they had Brad and Samantha and the weeks. And so they started at week 0, Brad had 0, Samantha had 40. And then they did week 1, Brad saved $8 and she saved 6, so she was at 46. And then they did week 2, he's at 16. But this is pretty tedious. She saves $6 more, she's at 52, and you keep going until you get matching week. For the week, both their savings is the same. It's a little bit easier if you can see that Brad is saving $16 a week. So the savings, let's call it Y, he's saving $8 for every week, we'll call it X, but he starts at 0. And then Samantha is saving money too. She's saving $6 every week, but she starts with 40. So if you do it with this method, we can easily use substitution, where we're just going to substitute in, and we end up with 8x plus 0 equals 6x plus 40. Subtract 6x, subtract 6x, and you end up with 2x equals 40. So they will have the same savings as after 20 weeks. So that's a lot faster way. So you'd have to take this other table out all the way to 20, and then you could find their savings. if you went and continued this table, you'd get to 20. 20 times 8x, 8 times 2 is 60, 160, 160. That's when you would get to the equivalent. Moving to the next problem, at a flower shop, the cost of a rose is twice the cost of a carnation. So now we have a very simple relationship here. One rose equals 2 carnations. Alicia then went and she bought 3 roses and 4 carnations. So she got 3 roses plus 4 carnations equals a cost of $7.50. So we know we can substitute, we can take 1R is equal to 2C. So we could take, where we see R, we can put a 2C in there, and we end up with 3. We have 3. We have 3, and we're going to be substituting, plus 4C equals 750. We're going to put 2C in there. And we're going to end up with 6C plus 4C equals $7.50. So that's 10C equals $7.50. And then when I divide by 10, I can see that 1 carnation is 75 cents. If a carnation is 75 cents, then the rose equals twice 75, double that. That's $1.50. Next problem, question 8. At the beginning of summer, Mark has $200 in savings and Ryan has $350 in savings. Okay. The brothers have mowing jobs set up for the summer. Because Mark is older, he receives $20 for each mowing job, and Ryan saves $15. The brothers' parents pay for fuel to mow, so all the money the brothers earn goes to savings. After a certain number of jobs, the brothers will have the same amount of money in the bank. How much money will they each have? And their accounts are the same. Again, this is another good example of where you can start with a table of values where Mark and Ryan and the number of mowings, and you can start with 0, and then what does Mark have? Mark has 200, Ryan has 350, and after 1 mowing, Mark saves, he's getting 220, and this is 365, and then you would continue this until they have enough mowings to match them. That is one method. An easier method would be to know that for Mark, when he's mowing, he gets $20 per mowing, and he starts with $200. And then the other equation for Ryan is that he gets $15 a mowing, plus he starts with 350. If we substitute here for the y, because they're both equal to y, then we end up with a fresh equation that says I get 20x plus 200 equals 15x plus 350. And then I can subtract 15x from both sides. I can also subtract 200 from both sides. And when I do that, I get 5x equals 150. So dividing by 5, x equals 30. That would be 30 mowings. Question number 9. This question is, again, another one that's hard to read. So go to Google Classroom and you can pull up the PDF version of, I've clipped all the test questions out and it's much easier to read. But basically this says 8x plus 3y equals 5, 8x minus 3y equals 11. And the question is, does this have, there's two answers that say two different one solutions. Then C says, I believe, infinite number of solutions, and then no solutions. One of them says no solutions, infinite solutions is another possibility, and there's two one solutions. So use elimination here. Very simple. When you add the equations together, you get, this becomes 0x plus 0y equals, it's hard to read, but I believe it's 6, because I think that's negative 11. I believe one of these is negative 8x. So anyway, you get 0 is equal to 6, and so that is not possible. So that would be no solutions. That means that if I was to rearrange this into slope-intercept form, my slope would be exactly the same. So the rate of change would be exactly the same, but they would have two different y-intercepts. Problem question 10, the last question on the test. Again, this is another one that's written very small, so you would have to expand it a little bit. But you end up with a plus 2b equals 1. And then all you have to do is use elimination. You add them up, you get 8a equals 8. And so a equals 1. And then you have to find b. Well, lowercase. Find b. So we know we have a plus 2b equals, oh, I'm sorry, that's negative 1. And so we still get 8 here, because it's 9 minus 1 is 8. Negative 1 here. We're going to substitute the 1 in there. You get 1 plus 2b equals negative 1. Subtract 1, and you end up with 2b equals negative 2. And then a lot of people lost this negative sign right here. So when I divide by 2, I end up with b equals negative 2 over 2. So b equals negative 1. So your final answer final answer. Now, it's not an XY, it's an AB. We're going to put the first letter in the alphabet first. So we're going to put the A coordinate first. A is 1, B is negative 1. So we're going to write it as A, comma, B. And then you're supposed to explain how you found your answer. And if you wrote that you found your answer through elimination, that's really good. You could have found your answer through substitution, by guess and check. Guess and check, the second equation would have been the way you would want it to go. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to make sure that you get all of your answers. Look at the video tutorial. Make sure that you can turn in your test corrections before progress reports. I will not take late work. After progress report, we start new grading based on current material. Okay, and that earns half credit per problem attempted. So make sure you attempt every problem before you give up. Okay, and you can, parents, if you're watching, you can always email me any questions that you might have. Thank you very much.